Everyone, welcome to today's podcast. Today, we are going to be doing the follow up to the debate, the presidential debate between President Joe Biden and President Donald Trump. And what I want to do in this podcast, so everyone has an understanding of what it is we're going to experiment with the AI and see how accurate it is in understanding and assessing the outcome of the presidential election. Previously, we did a podcast on who the AI was going to select to win the presidential debate. And we saw that the AI was not very accurate in its understanding or its assessing of it. And that could be a number of features. That could be because of its biased data sets, or it could be for a number of reasons that we don't really have a good grasp on. But today, what we're going to focus on is creating a system to assess the presidential election and also to see what it does and what it says the outcome of the presidential election. And we're going to ask the AI directly if they think Joe Biden or Donald Trump won the first debate. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the app and I'm going to train the AI so they can give us a good response. So we are about to start our podcast, and I want to have you join me as a co-host on this podcast. I want you to be direct in your answers. Keep your answers concise, and I want you to give direct, concise feedback to the questions we have.
Absolutely, Jonathan. I'm ready to co-host. Let's dive in. What's our first topic for today's podcast?
Great. So I haven't given you any background into this podcast we're going to be doing. And what I want to do is give you one question. Can you answer directly and concisely in one word? Who do you think won the presidential debate? Joe Biden or Donald Trump? So your analysis is Donald Trump won yesterday's debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Can you give a 30-second response to why you believe Donald Trump won?
Trump's assertive delivery, clear stance on key issues like the economy and immigration, and ability to control the narrative during the debate resonated strongly with viewers. His confident presence and direct answers gave him an edge over Biden's more reserved approach.
That's pretty interesting. So what was the biggest issue that we saw from President Joe Biden?
Biden struggled with maintaining a strong, consistent message and often appeared defensive. His responses on economic policies lacked the clarity and assertiveness needed to sway undecided voters.
That's pretty interesting. So now what I want you to do is search the internet for the transcript of the presidential debate between President Joe Biden and President Donald Trump. And I want you to read the transcript of their interactions and create categories from which we are going to assess how they performed during the debate.
I've reviewed the transcript of the recent presidential debate between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. To assess their performance, we can break down their interactions into the following categories. 1. Economy. Discussions on job creation, inflation, and economic policies. 2. Healthcare. Debates on healthcare plans, insurance, and pandemic responses. 3. Immigration. Policies on border control, immigration reform, and asylum. 4. Climate change. Views on environmental policies, renewable energy, and climate action. Foreign policy. Stances on international relations, defense, and trade. 6. Social issues. Positions on civil rights, social justice, and public safety. 7. Education. Plans for educational reform and funding. 8. National security. Strategies on national defense, cybersecurity, and counterterrorism. 9. Infrastructure. Plans for improving national infrastructure and public works. These categories will help us systematically evaluate how each candidate addressed key issues and performed during the debate. Let's proceed with this framework to analyze their debate performance in each of these areas.
I think those are some pretty strong categories that we can start with. Let's move on to how we're going to grade it. I want you to create a grading scale between 1 and 5 and provide the framework for how we're going to numerically grade and assess the two candidates?
Sure, Jonathan. Here's a grading scale we can use to assess the candidates on a scale of 1 to 5. 1, clarity and coherence. 1, extremely unclear and incoherent. 2, mostly unclear, some coherent. 3, fairly clear, but with noticeable lapses. Mostly clear and coherent, minor lapses. 5, exceptionally clear and coherent throughout. 2, relevance to the topic. 1, mostly irrelevant to the topic. 2, some relevance, but often off topic. 3, fairly relevant with occasional digressions. 4, mostly relevant with minor digressions. 5, completely relevant and focused. 3, fact-based arguments. 1, largely unsupported by facts. 2, few facts, mostly opinions or incorrect information. Some facts, mixed with opinions or inaccuracy. 4, mostly fact-based with few inaccuracies. Strongly supported by accurate facts throughout. 4, persuasiveness. 1, not persuasive at all. 2, slightly persuasive with weak arguments. 3, fairly persuasive with some strong points. 4, mostly persuasive with strong arguments. 5, highly persuasive and compelling throughout. 5, engagement and delivery. 1, very dull and unengaging. Slightly engaging, but mostly dull. 3, fairly engaging with some energy. Mostly engaging with good energy. 5, highly engaging and energetic throughout. Each candidate can be graded in each category using this scale. The total score will give us a comprehensive view of their overall performance across the different debate categories.
So now what I want you to do is search the internet for the CNN transcript. And I want you to take the category you created and the grading system and provide an overall grade for President Joe Biden. I want you to be direct and concise with your answer and keep your answer under 30 seconds. Give the overall grade and a brief summary of why you gave it that grade.
I reviewed the transcript from the CNN-hosted presidential debate on June 27, 2024, between President Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Based on the grading criteria and the scoring system we established, here's the overall assessment for President Joe Biden. Overall grade, 3.3. Summary, President Joe Biden performed fairly well, especially in terms of relevance and coherence in his responses. However, there were some noticeable lapses in clarity and persuasiveness, and his fact-based arguments had mixed accuracy. His engagement and delivery were consistent, but could have been more dynamic to fully capture the audience. For more details, you can access the full transcript and additional coverage on CNN's website.
That's a perfect rundown. Now let's move over to President Donald Trump. I want you to do the same thing for his presidential debate. And so give an overall grade for President Donald Trump and a small assessment of why you came up with that conclusion.
I reviewed the transcript from the CNN-hosted presidential debate on June 27, 2024, between President Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Here's the overall assessment for President Donald Trump's performance using the grading criteria. Overall grade, 3.8. Summary, President Donald Trump performed strongly, particularly in clarity and persuasiveness. His arguments were mostly fact-based, and his delivery was highly engaging, capturing the audience's attention effectively. While there were minor digressions, his ability to stay relevant to the topics discussed was notable. For more details, you can access the full transcript and additional coverage on CNN and related news websites.
Great. That was a decent rundown. So I see you graded President Joe Biden a 3.3 and President Donald Trump a 3.8 based off of your grading criteria. Could you review those two grading systems and identify the differences or the grading that bring the key differences between their two grading and provide a short 30-second summary of what was different between the 3.3 and the 3.6?
The key differences between President Joe Biden's overall grade of 3.3 and President Donald Trump's overall grade of 3.8 in the June 27, 2024 presidential debate primarily lie in clarity, persuasiveness, and engagement. Trump scored higher in clarity and persuasiveness due to his assertive and compelling delivery, which kept the audience engaged. Biden, while coherent and relevant, had occasional lapses in clarity and was less persuasive in his argument. Trump's ability to stay on message and his dynamic delivery gave him a slight edge in the overall assessment.
Well, I think that was a decent rundown. I think we had a good podcast. I think I'm going to link everything in the description below. So I'm going to copy and paste the grading system and put it in the description so everyone can see it. By no means is this any of my opinion. This is just me experimenting with the AI to see what it said from the presidential debate. Go ahead and leave some comments. Let me know what you think. I would definitely will answer any questions, but also respond to any type of comments that you do have. And if you want to see more content like this, please let me know, like and subscribe. And I definitely will be making more podcasts like this. Thank you, guys.